Godzilla has been destructively brutal since the very first time he ever rose out of the sea. The targets for his rage have typically been man-made structures and other kaiju. But in Godzilla Minus One, the king of the monsters set his eyes, tail, feet, and teeth on much more personal targets: individual humans. And in this video, we are going to explain why Godzilla's attack on Odo Island was one of his most violent crimes against humanity. Godzilla in this scene is a representation of the way Japan was making the outside world look at that time, as an unstoppable monster coming to get them, provoked by their mistakes, ready to make them suffer for all their wrongdoings. And when combined with a non-mutated Godzilla that was still small enough to interact with humans like a big dinosaur, it made for one of the most unsettling Godzilla scenes in history. Jacob here, everyone, hope you're doing well. If you're happy to see Minus One content back on Dangerville, stomp that like button and give me a screonk down in the comments. In the past of the Godzilla franchise, we have seen other monsters attack individual humans directly, like the juvenile Destroyer forms who attacked the SWAT team in the Tokyo Telecom Center, looking more like a scene from Alien than Godzilla, but only a few select times has Godzilla focused on attacking and killing humans on a personal level. One particular scene stands out above the rest: the Godzillasaurus attack. This scene from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah was no doubt inspiration for the Odo Island attack from Minus One. Instead of Japanese fighter pilot mechanics, it was American soldiers. The way this old scene plays out has so many similarities with its modern counterpart. Useless gunfire aimed at the beast, a lot of running and screaming, and specifically the way the Godzillasaurus uses its tail and body to crush the helpless humans. There were no battleships near Odo Island in Minus One, however, to put the beast down. But still, the end results remain the same. Most of the men are brutally killed, squashed like bugs under the wrath of an angered Godzilla. But unlike the 1991 classic kaiju film, this new take on Godzilla was not nearly as lighthearted in how it showcased human killings by Godzilla on such an up-close and personal level. The perfection of this scene all starts with the subtle hint at Godzilla's presence. As the fish corpses rise to the surface of the ocean, we see their insides blown out from their mouths. A brutal demise even for a deep-sea fish. This sets the tone right away for the gruesome human deaths that would soon follow. To make a good monster attack scene, you need to ensure everything else about the moment in the film helps drive the suspense of the situation to the audience. You want them to feel every bit of terror that these men were going through, or as close as possible as a viewer. That's why this scene takes place at night, the time most humans consider to be the most unsettling. And under the cover of darkness, the film's creators were able to hide any imperfections that would no doubt kill the terrifying vibe of this attack if it was real. And one of the most overlooked parts to Minus One and really any horror movie are the sound effects and music. Let's start with the latter. The music in this scene feels like a blast of anxiety wind right to the chest. It truly helps build the terror of the scene, leaving the audience to feel every bit of fear and pain that these men are going through. And you hear their pain firsthand. The sounds you hear as life leaves these men as well, I'll let you make up your own mind. A drastic difference to the sounds of the men dying in the old movie with the Godzillasaurus attack. The entirety of the sound effects in this scene are next level. The metallic bangs and clinks of the rifles firing, to the thundering earth-crashing noise of Godzilla's mighty foot impacting the ground. With the horrors of World War II haunting the characters of this film, and with the added elements of a nighttime environment and some of the best sound work you can ever hear, the Godzilla attack of Odo Island had set the tone, and now with its visual storytelling, it needed to seal the deal as the most brutal attack on humans in Godzilla history. If you've ever been out in the dark, and I mean the dark, where you can't see very far out beyond what is directly in front of you, sometimes your head will play tricks on you. Every sound you hear seeming like a monster was after you. This scene captures that primal fear we all face as humans. After you hear the startling sound of the alarms, a booming noise comes out of the darkness. It sounds like an engine, but it has this organic quality to it that makes your mind start to think, is that a monster? When the man in the watchtower turned on his spotlight and Godzilla came bursting out from the darkness, he was frozen with fear due to the instant glimpse at something so unnatural. How many times have you randomly turned your light towards something in the dark and been terrified? Let me know in the comments. Godzilla attacks. We don't know if it was due to being startled and blinded by the bright lights, or if his intention was always destruction. Regardless, what plays out next is pure terror. Godzilla approaches, each step, boom, 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 coming closer to the hidden men. When Koichi failed to fire his fighter's guns at the monster, we see firsthand how he struggles with bravery, but can you blame him? Forced to be the guy that goes and shoots at this giant monster, where even if he did fire, the result would have likely been the same, just he would be dead first this time. The men shooting Godzilla here was the worst thing to do in this situation. All signs showed that there was a good chance that he wasn't even going to attack them. But when the panicked individual shot his rifle, the fear was contagious. Every man began firing, following the first shot up like a flock of sheep following each other off a cliffside. All of them, save for two, were then brutally killed by Godzilla with an assortment of techniques, the likes we've never seen Godzilla do before on humans. Chomping down on the torso of men and then launching them, stomping on the ones too slow to get away, and using his tail to clean up the rest. You could call these men brave or foolish. Their deaths, however, were gruesome, but luckily most didn't feel a thing. And when it was all said and done, when morning came, seeing the results of Godzilla's mayhem only added to the darkness of this horrifying scene. The entirety of this situation is about as close as you can get to a perfect creature feature attack scene. The only way it could have been even more shocking would be if it came with a hard R rating. But even without intense gore, the way the scene was envisioned, choreographed, shot, and edited together was pure genius. It reminded me of the days of old, when film creators put more effort into building a scene instead of just cramming flashy visuals in your face. And the long-running shots without any cuts made it all feel so real at times. And when it comes to fear, the more real it is, the more horror that follows. Hope you like this video, residents. In correlation with this video, I asked the members of Dangerville what scene in Godzilla history felt really dark to them, and I don't mean Godzilla 2014 dark, I mean like fear. Evan Anderson 5855 gave me a great response. Godzilla vs. Mothra emerging from the pit. Thanks for your comment, Evan, and if you want to get featured on a video here on Dangerville, consider becoming a member. For just a few dollars a month, you get access to some bonus material, and you get to talk to us on a more personal level. You don't got to, but it's just there if you want to. And on that note, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.